the plasma cannons of the Vorthak destroyer. Crimson Fang lit up the darkness of space like angry red stars. Commander Zeleth watched through the bridge viewports as enemy fire streaked past, missing his ship by mere kilometers. The battle had been raging for 3 hours now, and neither side was winning. "Status report!" Zeleth barked at his tactical officer. "Hull integrity at 78%, sir. Our escort cruisers have taken heavy damage. The Corvani fleet still has 6 heavy destroyers, and at least 12 frigates operational." Zeleth's mandibles clicked together in frustration. The Corvani Confederacy had been expanding into Vorthak territory for months, but this was the first major battle between their fleets. Both species were considered among the most powerful military forces in the Outer Rim, and today would decide who controlled the valuable mining systems of the Kepler sector. The Vorthak had ruled this region of space for over 2 centuries. They were proud warriors, standing nearly 3 meters tall, with thick chitinous armor and 4 powerful arms. Their ships were built like mobile fortresses, designed to withstand tremendous punishment while dealing out devastating firepower. The Corvani were different. They were smaller, more agile, with pale blue skin and large black eyes that could see across multiple spectrums of light. Their ships were sleek and fast, built for hit-and-run tactics and precise strikes. They had been expanding rapidly across the galaxy for the past 50 years, absorbing smaller civilizations and adding their technology to their own. "Sir, the Corvani flagship is moving to flank us," reported the navigation officer. Zeleth studied the tactical display. The enemy flagship, Void Hunter, was indeed trying to get behind the Vorthak formation. If successful, they could target the weaker rear armor of the Vorthak ships and end the battle quickly. "All ships, adjust formation to Delta 7. Bring our heavy guns to bear on their flagship." The Vorthak fleet moved with practiced precision. Despite their reputation as crude warriors, they were actually highly disciplined and tactical. Each ship knew exactly where to position itself for maximum effectiveness. Captain Erix of the Corvani flagship studied her own tactical display with calculating eyes. The Vorthak were tough opponents, but they were predictable. Their heavy armor made them confident, sometimes overconfident. She had been studying Vorthak battle tactics for months, preparing for this confrontation. "Target their command ship's shield generators," she ordered. "Concentrated fire from all forward batteries." "Yes, Captain. All ships are in position." The Corvani ships opened fire simultaneously. Bright blue energy beams lanced through space, focused on specific weak points in the Vorthak formation. The Corvani had learned that while Vorthak armor was thick, their shield technology was older and had exploitable vulnerabilities. The Vorthak Crimson Fang shuddered under the concentrated assault. Sparks flew across the bridge as overloaded systems failed. "Shields down to 40%, called out the engineering officer. Zeleth gritted his teeth. The Corvani had done their homework. They knew exactly how to hurt Vorthak ships. But his people had not survived 2 centuries of warfare by being easy targets. "Return fire! All heavy cannons! Target their lead destroyer!" The space between the 2 fleets became a deadly light show as hundreds of weapons fired back and forth. Both sides had shields that could deflect most energy weapons, but concentrated fire could eventually overwhelm any defense. It became a matter of who could maintain their firepower longer. On the edges of the battle, smaller frigates and corvettes danced around each other in deadly spirals. Missile trails crisscrossed through space as point defense systems tried to shoot down incoming warheads. Occasionally, a lucky shot would penetrate shields and armor, and another ship would explode in a brilliant flash of released energy. This was warfare as both sides understood it. 2 fleets meeting in open space, trading firepower until one side was destroyed or retreated. It was brutal, but straightforward. The stronger, better-equipped force would eventually win. What neither side knew was that they were being watched. Far beyond the range of their sensors, hidden by technology that neither the Vorthak nor Corvani had ever encountered, something observed the battle with intense interest. The hull was smooth and dark, absorbing electromagnetic radiation across all spectrums. No sensor in either fleet could have detected it, even if they had been looking directly at it. Inside the hidden ship, a human crew watched the alien battle unfold on their main display. "Analysis complete, Captain," reported the ship's artificial intelligence in a calm, measured voice. "Both fleets are operating within expected parameters based on our intelligence reports." Captain Sarah Chen stood before the main view screen with her arms crossed, studying the tactical situation. At 42 years old, she was one of the youngest ship commanders in the Earth Defense Fleet, but her record was spotless. She had spent the last 8 years in deep space, gathering intelligence on alien civilizations beyond the known galaxy. Earth had been monitoring the outer rim for decades through long-range sensor probes and occasional stealth reconnaissance missions. Humanity had learned long ago that the galaxy was full of species that viewed newcomers as either resources to exploit or threats to eliminate. The policy was simple: watch, learn, and stay hidden until Earth was ready to reveal itself. "How long have they been fighting?" Chen asked. 3 hours, 14 minutes, replied her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander James Park. "Both sides have taken significant damage, but neither appears ready to retreat." Chen nodded. This was exactly the kind of intelligence they needed. How did the major alien powers conduct warfare? What were their tactics, their technology levels, their combat doctrines? Every piece of information was valuable for Earth's eventual emergence into galactic society. "Captain," the ship's science officer spoke up from her station, "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from both fleets. Their weapons technology is more advanced than our previous estimates indicated." Dr. Elena Vasquez had been studying alien technology for most of her career. She was one of Earth's leading experts on xenotech, and her reports had shaped much of humanity's understanding of galactic civilization. "How advanced?" Chen asked. "Their energy output levels are approximately 40% higher than we calculated, and their shield technology appears to use quantum field manipulation that we've only theorized about." Chen frowned. This was concerning news. Earth's military planners had based their strategic projections on the assumption that human technology was roughly equivalent to the major alien powers. If they had underestimated alien capabilities... "Recommendation, Doctor?" "We need more data. Passive observation can only tell us so much. To really understand their technology, we'd need to see it under stress." As if responding to her words, the battle between the two alien fleets suddenly intensified. The Corvani flagship had managed to flank the Vorthak formation and was pouring fire into their rear shields. The Vorthak command ship was taking tremendous damage. "Sir, the Vorthak ship is in serious trouble," Park observed. "Their shields are failing." On the Vorthak bridge, Commander Zelith watched his tactical display with growing concern. The Corvani had outmaneuvered him, and now his ship was taking more damage than it could absorb. "Engineering, I need more power to rear shields." "We're already at maximum output, sir. The generators can't take much more." "Hull breach on decks 7 through 9, reported the damage control officer. "Emergency bulkheads are holding, but we've lost main power to weapons array 3. Zelith's strategic mind raced through options. He could order his escorts to fall back and try to regroup, but that would abandon the mining colonies they were supposed to protect. He could call for reinforcements, but the nearest Vorthak fleet was 2 days away. Or he could make a desperate gamble. "All ships, prepare for ramming speed," he ordered. The bridge crew stared at him in shock. Ramming attacks were considered desperate measures, used only when no other options remained. "Sir, are you certain?" asked his first officer. "If we're going to die, we die as warriors. Target the Corvani flagship, full power to engines." Captain Yurix saw the Vorthak formation change on her tactical display. and immediately understood what was happening. The enemy commander was attempting a ramming attack. It was tactically sound under the circumstances, but also extremely dangerous for both sides. "Evasive maneuvers," she commanded. "All ships, maximum acceleration. Get us out of their path." The Corvani ships began to scatter, but the Vorthak had positioned themselves well. At least one or two Corvani ships would not be able to escape in time. Chen watched the developing situation with professional interest. Both sides were now committed to courses of action that would likely result in heavy casualties. This was exactly the kind of desperate combat that revealed the true capabilities of alien technology and tactics. "Captain, should we withdraw to a safer distance?" asked her navigation officer. "Negative. Maintain position and continue recording." The human ship Silent Observer had been designed specifically for this kind of mission. Its stealth systems could keep it hidden from any known alien sensor technology, and its defensive systems could protect it from stray weapons fire. Chen was confident they could observe safely even from this relatively close range. But then something happened that changed everything. A stray missile from the Corvani fleet, damaged by point defense fire and spinning off course, detonated unexpectedly close to the human ship. The explosion shouldn't have been dangerous, but the blast wave interacted with the Silent Observer's stealth field in an unexpected way. "Warning," announced the ship's AI. "Stealth field fluctuation detected. Cloaking efficiency degraded to 73%. Engineering, stabilize that field," Chen ordered immediately. "Working on it, Captain, but the quantum harmonics are destabilizing. I need at least 5 minutes to recalibrate." Chen felt her heart rate increase. 5 minutes was an eternity in a space battle. If either alien fleet detected them during that time. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez called out urgently, "I'm reading active sensor sweeps from both fleets. They're expanding their search parameters." On the Vorthak command ship, the sensor officer had detected something odd. "Sir, I'm reading an anomalous energy signature bearing 27 Mark IV. It appeared briefly, then faded." Zelith was focused on the ramming attack, but training made him pay attention to unusual sensor readings. In space combat, the unknown could be the difference between victory and defeat. "Investigate. Could be a Corvani stealth ship." The Corvani had similar technology, but had never deployed cloaked vessels in this region. If they had brought stealth ships to this battle, on the Corvani flagship, Captain Erix was receiving similar reports. "Unknown contact detected at extreme range. Sensor profile doesn't match any known Vorthak or Corvani design." Erix's tactical mind immediately jumped to possibilities. A third party? Pirates? Or something else entirely? "All ships. Expand sensor sweep to full spectrum. I want to know what's out there." Chen watched with growing concern as both alien fleets began active scanning. The Silent Observer was still partially cloaked, but active sensors were much harder to fool than passive ones. "Stealth field status?" she asked. "Still degraded, Captain. I need 2 more minutes." "We don't have 2 minutes," Park observed, watching the tactical display. "Both fleets are conducting systematic searches." Chen made a command decision. As a reconnaissance officer, her primary mission was to gather intelligence and return it to Earth. Getting captured or destroyed would serve no one. "Prepare for emergency decloak," she ordered. "Captain?" Dr. Vasquez looked up from her station in surprise. "If they're going to detect us anyway, better to control how and when it happens. We'll decloak, identify ourselves as a neutral observer, and withdraw immediately." It was a risky plan, but potentially better than being discovered by accident and mistaken for an enemy vessel. "All stations, prepare for first contact protocols," Chen announced to her crew. The moment she had trained for her entire career was about to begin. Humanity was about to reveal itself to the galaxy, not in the carefully planned manner that Earth's diplomats had prepared for, but in the middle of an alien war zone. "On my mark," Chen said, her hand hovering over the decloak command. 3, 2, 1, mark. The silent observer's stealth field collapsed in a cascade of electromagnetic energy. Suddenly, where there had been empty space, a sleek human starship appeared as if materializing from another dimension. Both alien fleets detected the appearance simultaneously. On every bridge, sensor officers stared at their displays in shock. "Unknown vessel decloaking," called out the Vorthak sensor officer. "Configuration unknown. Technology unknown." Captain Erix stared at her main view screen as the mysterious ship appeared. Its design was unlike anything in her databases. The hull was smooth and elegant, clearly advanced, but built according to design principles she didn't recognize. "All ships, weapons ready," she ordered cautiously. "But do not fire unless fired upon." Commander Zelith was thinking the same thing. The unknown ship was clearly using technology beyond anything the Vorthak had encountered, but its intentions were unclear. "Open a channel," he ordered. "All frequencies." On the human ship, Chen stood straight and took a deep breath. This moment would be recorded in history books, the first official contact between humanity and alien civilizations. "Open channel to both fleets," she ordered. "Channel open, Captain." "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Silent Observer. We are a peaceful research ship conducting scientific observations. We mean no harm to either fleet and request permission to withdraw from this area." The words traveled across space at the speed of light, carrying with them the knowledge that a new power had entered the galactic stage. Both alien fleets received the transmission simultaneously, and both fell silent as their crews tried to process what they had heard. Earth, a species they had never heard of. A ship using technology they couldn't identify. And most disturbing of all, it had been watching them without being detected until now. The balance of power in the outer rim had just shifted in ways that neither the Vorthak nor Corvani could yet comprehend. The silence that followed Captain Chen's transmission lasted exactly 14 seconds. Then, both alien fleets erupted into activity. Commander Zelith was the first to break radio silence. "Unknown vessel, identify your point of origin and purpose in this system. You have entered a combat zone without authorization." Captain Yerix's response came moments later. "Earth vessel, you are in violation of Corvani territorial space. Explain your presence immediately or face the consequences." Chen listened to both transmissions with professional calm, but inside she felt the weight of history. These were the first official diplomatic communications between humanity and alien civilizations, and they were hardly friendly. "Dr. Vasquez, analysis of their transmissions?" "Both species use quantum-encrypted subspace communications, Captain. Their translation matrices are incredibly sophisticated. The fact that we can understand them at all suggests they've encountered multiple alien species before. Which means they have experience dealing with unknown contacts," Chen observed. "That could work for or against us." Lieutenant Commander Park studied the tactical display with growing concern. "Captain, both fleets have weapons locked onto our position. The Vorthak have 12 heavy plasma cannons aimed at us, and the Corvani have deployed some kind of energy lance system I've never seen before." Chen nodded. She had expected this reaction. Unknown ships appearing in the middle of a battle were naturally viewed as threats. "Open channel to both fleets," she ordered. "Channel open. Commander Zelith, Captain Yerix, I understand your caution. My ship is a scientific research vessel from the planet Earth, located in what you would call the Inner Rim. We have been conducting long-range observations of this region for scientific purposes. We did not intend to interfere with your conflict and request permission to withdraw." On the Vorthak command ship, Zelith consulted his star charts. "First officer, do we have any record of a system called Earth?" "No, sir. No planet by that name in our databases. and inner rim space is supposed to be uninhabited. Zelith's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The inner rim was considered a dead zone by most galactic civilizations. The stellar density was too low to support major trade routes, and most surveys had found nothing of value there. For a technologically advanced species to emerge from that region was unexpected. Captain Irix was having similar thoughts. Science officer, analysis of their vessel's design. Unknown configuration, Captain. The hull appears to be constructed from some kind of composite material I can't identify. Energy readings are strange. Strange how? Their power signature is much smaller than I would expect for a ship that size, but it's extremely stable. And they're using some kind of propulsion system that doesn't match any known technology. Irix studied the human ship on her main viewer. It was smaller than either flagship, perhaps 2/3 the size of a heavy cruiser, but its design suggested efficiency rather than raw power. The smooth hull would be excellent for stealth, and the placement of what appeared to be weapon ports suggested defensive rather than offensive capabilities. Captain Irix. Commander Zelith's voice came over the emergency command frequency that both species used for fleet coordination. We should discuss this development privately. Agreed. Hold position while we confer. Both alien commanders activated a secure channel between their flagships, temporarily setting aside their battle to deal with the unknown human vessel. Commander, what is your assessment of this Earth ship? Irix asked. Their technology is clearly advanced, Zelith replied. The stealth system that concealed them from both our fleets is beyond anything in our databases, but they claim to be peaceful observers. Peaceful observers who were spying on our military operations, Irix pointed out. Their presence here cannot be coincidence. Agreed. The question is, what do we do about it? Both commanders faced the same strategic dilemma. They had been in the middle of a major battle that would determine control of the Kepler sector. Now, an unknown alien species with advanced technology had appeared, claiming to be peaceful, but possessing capabilities that could threaten both their fleets. I propose a temporary ceasefire, Irix suggested, until we understand what we're dealing with. Zelith considered this. It went against his warrior instincts to leave a battle unfinished, but tactical wisdom suggested that unknown variables should be eliminated before resuming normal operations. Agreed, but I want answers from this Earth captain. On the human ship, Chen watched as both alien fleets stopped firing at each other and turned their attention entirely toward her vessel. Well, that's interesting, Dr. Vasquez observed. They've called a ceasefire to deal with us. Not necessarily a good development, Park added. Two fleets that were trying to kill each other 5 minutes ago are now cooperating against the unknown threat. Chen understood the implications. In military terms, the appearance of an unknown force during a battle could unite enemies against a common threat. She needed to defuse the situation quickly before both alien fleets decided that the human ship was a bigger problem than each other. Engineering. What's our status? All systems nominal, Captain. Stealth field is restored and weapons are ready, but I wouldn't want to fight two entire fleets simultaneously. The human ship mounted defensive weapons and advanced shielding, but it had been designed for reconnaissance, not fleet combat. Against 1 or 2 ships, it might hold its own, but facing dozens of alien warships was not a situation Chen wanted to test. Captain, the communications officer called out, I'm receiving a joint transmission from both fleet commanders. They're requesting a direct meeting. Chen raised an eyebrow. That was unexpected. Most first contact scenarios Earth had simulated involved either immediate hostility or cautious long-range communication. A face-to-face meeting was surprisingly bold. Details? They want to transport representatives to our ship for a diplomatic conference. They're offering to guarantee our safety under traditional laws of parley. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her station. Captain, this could be an incredible opportunity for intelligence gathering. Direct contact with representatives of two major galactic powers. It could also be a trap, Park pointed out. We don't know anything about their transport technology or their intentions. Chen weighed the options. Earth's first contact protocols emphasized caution, but they also stressed the importance of gathering intelligence about alien capabilities and intentions. This situation fell into uncharted territory. Open channel to both flagships, she decided. Captain Chen here. We acknowledge your request for a direct meeting. However, my ship cannot accommodate large parties. I propose a limited diplomatic exchange. 2 representatives from each of your vessels, with appropriate security protocols in place. The response came quickly from Commander Zeleth. Acceptable. We will prepare diplomatic representatives immediately. Captain Yerix agreed as well. Our diplomatic corps will be ready within the hour. Chen felt a moment of uncertainty. She was about to make first contact with 2 alien species simultaneously, while they were in the middle of a war zone. This was not how Earth's diplomatic planners had envisioned humanity's entry into galactic society. Dr. Vasquez, you'll accompany me to the meeting. Lieutenant Commander Park, you have the bridge. Captain, are you sure about this? Park asked privately. No, but it's the best option we have. If we try to leave now without explaining ourselves, we'll look suspicious. If we stay and refuse to meet, we'll look hostile. This is our chance to control the narrative. 30 minutes later, the first aliens in human history materialized in the cargo bay of the Silent Observer. The transport technology both species used was similar to what Earth scientists called quantum teleportation, but far more advanced than anything humanity had developed. Commander Zeleth arrived with his diplomatic officer, Sub-Commander Rex. Both Vorthak stood nearly 3 meters tall, with thick chitinous armor covering their bodies and 4 powerful arms. Their faces were insectoid but intelligent, with compound eyes that could track multiple targets simultaneously. Captain Yerix brought her science officer, Lieutenant Dal. The Corvani were much smaller than the Vorthak, with pale blue skin and large black eyes that seemed to absorb light. They moved with fluid grace, and their expressions were difficult for humans to read. Chen stood at attention with Dr. Vasquez beside her. The moment felt surreal. She was looking at the first aliens humanity had ever met face to face, and they were looking back at the first humans they had ever encountered. Commander Zeleth, Captain Yerix, welcome aboard the Silent Observer. I am Captain Sarah Chen, commanding officer, and this is Dr. Elena Vasquez, our chief science officer. The aliens studied the humans with obvious curiosity. Chen could see them analyzing everything: human physiology, technology, behavior patterns. She was doing the same thing. Your species is unknown to our databases, Zeleth stated directly. How long has Earth been capable of interstellar travel? And what is your interest in our territorial dispute? Yerix added. Chen had prepared for these questions, but the directness of the aliens caught her off guard. Neither species seemed inclined toward diplomatic small talk. Earth has been capable of faster-than-light travel for approximately 50 years, she replied honestly. However, we have maintained a policy of observation and non-interference while learning about galactic civilization. 50 years? Rex, the Vorthak diplomatic officer, seemed surprised. That is a very short time for a species to develop interstellar capability. Dr. Vasquez spoke up. Human technological development tends to accelerate rapidly once certain thresholds are reached. We went from our first powered flight to interplanetary travel in less than 70 years. Lieutenant Dal, the Corvani science officer, studied the humans intently. Your ship's design is unfamiliar. What principles does your technology operate on? A combination of fusion power, quantum field manipulation, and what we call dark matter interaction, Vasquez replied. Though I suspect our approaches differ significantly from yours. The aliens exchanged glances. Chen noticed that both species seemed surprised by humanity's technological sophistication. She wondered if they had expected a more primitive civilization. "You claim to be peaceful observers," Eric said, "but your ship was equipped with stealth technology sophisticated enough to evade both our fleets. That suggests military capabilities." Chen had expected this challenge. "Our ship is primarily a research vessel, but we recognize the dangers of deep space exploration. We carry defensive systems and stealth technology for protection, not aggression." "Defensive systems?" Zaleth's mandibles clicked with what might have been amusement. "Show us." The request caught Chen off guard. "I'm sorry? You claim defensive capabilities. We are military officers. Show us what your ship can do." Chen looked at Dr. Vasquez, who nodded slightly. They had discussed this possibility. If the aliens were going to trust humanity's peaceful intentions, they needed to understand human capabilities. "Very well. Dr. Vasquez, bring up a defensive demonstration." Vasquez activated a holographic display in the center of the cargo bay. It showed a three-dimensional representation of the silent observer and its various systems. "Our primary defense is our stealth system," Vasquez explained. "It uses quantum field manipulation to bend electromagnetic radiation around our hull, making us effectively invisible to most sensors." The hologram demonstrated the stealth field in action. Both alien officers leaned forward with intense interest. "Impressive," Dal admitted. "Our own stealth technology is much more limited." "We also carry adaptive shielding," Vasquez continued. "The system analyzes incoming weapons fire and adjusts shield frequency to provide optimal protection." The hologram showed various types of energy weapons hitting the human ship's shields. In each case, the shields adapted and absorbed the energy with increasing efficiency. "That is remarkable," Rex said slowly. "Most shield systems operate on fixed frequencies. Our point defense system uses directed energy weapons that can target multiple incoming threats simultaneously," Vasquez added. "And our hull is constructed from a composite material that can absorb and redistribute kinetic energy." The demonstration continued for several minutes, revealing defensive capabilities that impressed both alien species. What Chen didn't mention was that the silent observer was not even a military vessel. Earth's actual warships carried far more advanced technology. "Your species has developed impressive defensive capabilities for a newcomer to galactic society," Irix observed. "What of offensive systems?" "Our mission is exploration and research," Chen replied diplomatically. "We carry only what is necessary for self-defense." This was technically true, though the definition of self-defense was broader than the aliens might expect. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Lieutenant Commander Park's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, to the bridge immediately. We have a problem." Chen excused herself and rushed to the bridge, leaving Dr. Vasquez to continue the diplomatic discussion. What she found on the bridge made her heart sink. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting a large fleet approaching this system," Park reported. "Configuration matches hegemony warships." Chen's blood ran cold. The hegemony was one of the most aggressive military powers in the galaxy, known for enslaving or exterminating species they encountered. Earth intelligence had identified them as one of the primary threats to human expansion. "How many ships?" "At least 40 vessels, Captain. Battleships, carriers, destroyers. This is a full invasion fleet." Chen realized that the situation had just become far more complicated. 2 alien fleets were fighting in this system. Humanity had just revealed itself to both of them, and now a third force was approaching that was hostile to everyone. "Time to arrival?" "Approximately 2 hours at their current speed." Chen made a rapid calculation. The hegemony fleet would destroy both the Vorthak and Corvani fleets, then track down and eliminate the human ship. Unless something changed dramatically, this first contact situation was about to become a massacre. She returned to the cargo bay where the diplomatic meeting was continuing. Captain Yurix, Commander Zelith, we have a serious problem. A hegemony invasion fleet is approaching this system. Estimated arrival in 2 hours. Both aliens reacted with shock and alarm. Hegemony? Zelith's voice carried a note of fear. Our fleets are too damaged to fight the hegemony. Neither of our forces can retreat quickly enough, Yurix added. Our FTL drives need time to charge after battle. Chen looked at both alien commanders and made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Then perhaps it's time for us to stop being passive observers, she said quietly. The aliens stared at her in surprise. You would fight beside us? Rex asked incredulously. Against the hegemony, Captain Chen? Dal added. Your ship cannot face an entire fleet alone. Chen smiled grimly. You're right. One ship couldn't face an entire hegemony fleet. Fortunately, we're not just one ship. She activated her communicator. Chen to communications. Send the activation signal. Across the system, space began to shimmer as dozens of human ships decloaked simultaneously. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and battleships materialized around the alien fleets like a constellation of hidden stars. The Earth Defense Fleet had been watching the Outer Rim for months, waiting for the right moment to reveal humanity's presence. That moment had arrived. Both alien commanders stared at the tactical displays in stunned silence as they realized that humanity had not sent one research ship to observe them. They had sent an entire battle fleet. The bridge of the hegemony flagship, Eternal Dominion, thrummed with deadly purpose as it led the invasion fleet toward the Kepler sector. Admiral Krex stood before the massive view screen, his scaled hide gleaming under the harsh lighting. The hegemony had ruled through fear and superior firepower for over 3 centuries, and today would add another star system to their empire. Report! Krex commanded in his deep, rumbling voice. Long-range sensors detect 2 fleets engaged in combat, my lord, the sensor officer replied. Vorthak and Corvani forces, both significantly damaged. Krex's lipless mouth stretched into what passed for a smile among his species. The hegemony had been watching this conflict with interest, waiting for both sides to weaken each other sufficiently. Now they could sweep in and claim the valuable mining worlds with minimal resistance. Fleet disposition? 43 vessels, Admiral. 12 battleships, 15 heavy cruisers, 16 destroyers. The enemy forces combined cannot match our firepower. Excellent. Signal all ships to prepare for standard subjugation protocol. Any vessel that surrenders immediately will be spared destruction. It was a lie, of course. The hegemony did not take prisoners or accept surrenders, but the offer sometimes caused enemy fleets to hesitate long enough to make the battle easier. On the human flagship, UES Defiant, Admiral Marcus Webb studied the tactical display with experienced eyes. At 61 years old, he was one of Earth's most decorated military commanders, veteran of dozens of conflicts in the outer solar system and beyond. He had spent 5 years preparing for this moment. Sir, the hegemony fleet has dropped out of FTL, reported his tactical officer. They're moving into attack formation. Webb nodded. Signal all ships. Operation Revelation is now active. Rules of engagement are weapons free once they target Allied vessels. The human fleet consisted of 32 ships, smaller than the hegemony force but equipped with technology that had never been tested in large-scale combat. Webb was about to find out if Earth's military engineers were as brilliant as they claimed. On the Vorthak flagship, Commander Zelith watched in amazement as human vessels took up defensive positions around both his fleet and the Corvani force. Sir, the human ships are creating a protective formation, his tactical officer reported. They're positioning themselves between us and the approaching hegemony fleet. Zelith could hardly believe what he was seeing. The mysterious human species had revealed a massive military force and was preparing to defend 2 alien civilizations they had just met. Captain Yurix was equally stunned. Why would they do this? She asked her science officer. They have no reason to risk their ships for us. Lieutenant Dowell studied the human fleet formation with professional interest. Captain, their deployment pattern is unlike anything in our tactical databases. Look at how they're spacing their vessels. Irix examined the display more carefully. The human ships were arranged in a complex three-dimensional formation that seemed to defy conventional military wisdom. Instead of massing their firepower, they had spread their vessels across multiple vectors, creating overlapping fields of coverage. It's almost like they're planning to fight from multiple directions simultaneously, she observed. That would be tactical suicide against a concentrated enemy force, Irix replied. But her voice carried uncertainty. Admiral Krex was asking himself similar questions as his fleet approached the combat zone. Sensor analysis of the unknown vessels, he demanded. Hull configurations are unfamiliar, Admiral. Energy signatures are unusual. Unusual how? Very low power output compared to their apparent size, but extremely stable, and their engine emissions don't match any known propulsion technology. Krex studied the tactical display with growing irritation. He had expected to arrive at a simple cleanup operation, not encounter an unknown alien fleet with mysterious capabilities. Signal the unknown vessels. Demand immediate surrender and withdrawal. The transmission reached Admiral Webb moments later. Unknown alien fleet. This is Admiral Krex of the Hegemony Navy. You are interfering with legitimate hegemony operations in this sector. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. Webb listened to the translation with cold satisfaction. The hegemony's arrogance was exactly what Earth intelligence had reported. Open channel, he ordered. Admiral Krex, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Fleet. The vessels in this system are under our protection. Your fleet will withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The response from the Hegemony flagship was immediate and predictable. Your protection? Krex's voice carried mocking laughter. You command 30 vessels against 43. Your species has chosen extinction. Webb smiled grimly. We'll see about that. All ships, prepare for combat. The Hegemony fleet opened fire first, launching massive volleys of plasma torpedoes and energy beams across space. The display was impressive, a coordinated assault from one of the galaxy's most feared military forces. What happened next shocked every observer. The human ships didn't try to dodge the incoming fire. Instead, their shields activated, creating shimmering barriers of energy that absorbed the Hegemony weapons with apparent ease. The plasma torpedoes struck the barriers and dissipated harmlessly. The energy beams were absorbed and redirected. Impossible, Admiral Krex snarled. No shields are that efficient. But even more surprising was what happened when the human ships returned fire. Earth's weapons technology had developed along different lines than most galactic civilizations. Instead of focusing on raw energy output, human engineers had emphasized precision, adaptability, and coordination. Each human ship carried weapon systems that could adjust their frequency and targeting in real time based on battlefield conditions. The first human salvo was a test. Directed energy beams lanced out from the Earth vessels, not aimed at destroying enemy ships, but at analyzing their defenses. Sophisticated sensors measured shield frequencies, armor composition, and structural weak points in milliseconds. The second salvo was devastating. Every human weapon fired simultaneously, but each beam was calibrated to exploit specific vulnerabilities in its target. Shields that had protected Hegemony vessels for decades suddenly failed. Armor that had been thought impenetrable was pierced as if it were paper. 3 Hegemony destroyers exploded in the first exchange. 2 more were crippled and drifting. "Report!" Krex roared. "Unknown weapons technology, Admiral. They're penetrating our shields as if they weren't there." "Impossible. Our shields are rated against all known energy weapons." "Yes, sir. But these aren't known weapons. The enemy beams are modulating frequency in real time. adapting to our defenses faster than our shields can compensate. Admiral Webb watched the results of the first exchange with professional satisfaction. Target the heavy cruisers next. Full coordination protocol. The human fleet had been designed around a concept called networked warfare. Every ship was connected to every other ship through quantum communication links, allowing them to function as a single, coordinated entity. When one ship identified a weakness in an enemy vessel, that information was instantly shared with the entire fleet. The result was a level of tactical coordination that no other species had achieved. The second human attack eliminated 6 more hegemony vessels in as many seconds. The alien fleet, which had seemed overwhelmingly powerful just minutes before, was being systematically destroyed. On the Vorthak flagship, Commander Zeleth watched the battle with growing amazement. "Sir, the human ships are coordinating their attacks with impossible precision," his tactical officer reported. "They're sharing targeting data in real time across their entire fleet." "How is that possible?" "Unknown, sir. The communication delay alone should make such coordination impossible at these ranges." Captain Yerix was having similar thoughts. "Their response time is instantaneous," she told her crew, "as if all their ships are controlled by a single mind." The truth was both simpler and more complex than the aliens realized. Human artificial intelligence had advanced far beyond what most galactic civilizations had achieved. Each ship carried AI systems that could communicate and coordinate with superhuman speed and precision. Admiral Krex watched his fleet being decimated with growing desperation. "All ships, concentrate fire on their flagship. Overwhelm their defenses." 20 hegemony vessels turned their weapons on the UES Defiant simultaneously. The concentrated firepower would have destroyed any known ship instantly. Admiral Webb watched the incoming fire with calm interest. "Activate point defense matrix, full spectrum." The human flagship disappeared behind a wall of defensive fire. Hundreds of small energy weapons tracked and destroyed incoming missiles. Larger defensive systems created overlapping fields of protection that absorbed energy beams and redirected them harmlessly into space. When the light faded, the UES Defiant hung in space completely undamaged. "Status report," Webb requested casually. "All systems normal, Admiral. Shields absorb 96% of incoming energy. Point defenses eliminated 100% of missile attacks." Webb nodded as if this were routine. "Return fire." The UES Defiant carried weapons that had been designed to fight entire fleets single-handedly. When it fired, space itself seemed to bend around the energy beams. 3 hegemony battleships simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy in controlled fusion reactions. The psychological effect on the remaining hegemony forces was immediate and devastating. These were veteran warriors who had conquered dozens of star systems, but they had never faced anything like human technology. "Admiral," the hegemony communications officer called out with panic in his voice, "the fleet is requesting permission to retreat." Krex looked at his tactical display in disbelief. In less than 10 minutes, the human fleet had reduced his forces from 43 vessels to fewer than 20. His ships were being destroyed faster than he could comprehend. "Signal general retreat," he ordered reluctantly. "All ships, emergency FTL jump." But the humans had anticipated this. "Activate FTL interdiction field," Admiral Webb commanded. Across the human fleet, specialized systems activated that created interference patterns in local space-time. The hegemony ships found themselves unable to engage their faster-than-light drives. "Sir, we can't jump to FTL," the hegemony navigation officer reported. "The humans are somehow preventing FTL travel." Krex realized that his fleet was trapped. They couldn't retreat, and they couldn't win. For the first time in his career, he faced total defeat. "Open channel to the human admiral," he ordered quietly. "Admiral Webb, this is Admiral Krex. I request terms for surrender." The transmission was heard by every ship in both alien fleets. The mighty hegemony, terror of the Outer Rim, was surrendering to a species they had never heard of. Webb considered the request for a moment. Earth's military planners had prepared for this scenario. "Admiral Krex, these are my terms. Your forces will withdraw from this system and all surrounding territories. You will release all slave populations in your border regions. And you will broadcast a message to the Hegemony High Command explaining that Earth is now under the protection of the Galactic Alliance." "Galactic Alliance?" Krex asked in confusion. Webb smiled. "As of today, the Vorthak Confederation, the Corvani Republic, and the Earth Federation have formed a mutual defense pact. Any attack on one will be considered an attack on all." On the Vorthak and Corvani flagships, both commanders stared at their communicators in shock. They had just become allies with a species they had met 3 hours ago. "Do you accept these terms?" Webb continued. Krex looked at his tactical display. 17 ships remained from his once mighty fleet, all of them damaged and helpless. He had no choice. "Terms accepted," he replied bitterly. The FTL interdiction field deactivated, and the surviving hegemony ships limped away into hyperspace, carrying news of humanity's power to the far corners of the galaxy. In the aftermath of the battle, representatives from all 3 fleets met aboard the UES Defiant. The mood was very different from the cautious first contact meeting earlier. "Your technology is incredible," Commander Zaleth said, his usual warrior pride tempered by genuine respect. "How long has Earth possessed such capabilities?" Admiral Webb exchanged glances with Admiral Chen, who had joined them for the post-battle conference. "Earth has been preparing for galactic contact for over 70 years, Webb explained. "We knew we would eventually encounter other civilizations, and we wanted to be ready." "Ready for what?" Captain Yurix asked. "Ready to defend ourselves, ready to defend our allies, and ready to defend the principles we believe in," Chen replied. "Freedom, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence." Dr. Vasquez pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's star system. "Humanity spent decades observing galactic civilization before revealing ourselves. We watched species conquer and enslave others. We saw peaceful civilizations destroyed by aggressive empires. We decided that when we entered galactic society, it would be to protect the innocent, not to exploit them." Lieutenant Dal studied the display with scientific curiosity. "Your species developed this technology purely for defense?" "Primarily," Webb confirmed, "though we've learned that sometimes the best defense is a strong offense." Commander Zaleth clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "The Vorthak have spent centuries fighting for survival against various enemies. The idea of a species dedicating itself to protecting others, it is unusual." "Perhaps," Chen replied, "but it's who we are." Over the following hours, the 3 species worked out the details of their new alliance. The Vorthak would provide military expertise and strategic knowledge of the Outer Rim. The Corvani would contribute their advanced scientific capabilities and trade networks. Humanity would serve as the defensive backbone of the alliance, protecting member worlds from aggressive empires like the hegemony. Within days, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. The mysterious human species had appeared from nowhere and defeated the mighty hegemony fleet in less than 20 minutes. More shocking still, they had done it to protect 2 alien civilizations they had just met. The galactic political landscape shifted overnight. Species that had lived in fear of hegemony expansion suddenly saw hope. Aggressive empires that had counted on technological superiority began to reconsider their expansion plans. Peaceful civilizations started sending diplomatic envoys toward Earth space. On Earth itself, the news was received with mixed emotions. Some celebrated humanity's successful entry into galactic civilization. Others worried about the implications of becoming involved in alien conflicts. but most people felt pride that their species had chosen to use their power to protect others rather than to conquer them. Admiral Webb stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant as it patrolled the New Alliance territory, looking out at stars that now held friendly alien civilizations instead of unknown threats. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving diplomatic requests from 17 different species requesting alliance membership." Webb nodded. "Forward them to the diplomatic corps. Looks like we're going to be busy." Captain Chen joined him at the view screen. "Any regrets about revealing ourselves?" Webb considered the question seriously. "We always knew this day would come. I'm glad we were ready for it." "And glad we were ready to do the right thing," Chen added. As the human fleet continued its patrol, keeping watch over the worlds and peoples under their protection, the galaxy continued to react to the astonishing appearance of Earth's forces. Historians would later mark this battle as the moment when the balance of power in the galaxy shifted permanently. The hegemony and other aggressive empires found their expansion halted by species who no longer feared them. Peaceful civilizations could now develop and prosper under the protection of the Galactic Alliance. And at the center of it all was a species that had emerged from the supposedly empty inner rim with technology beyond anything previously known and a dedication to using that power for protection rather than conquest. The galaxy had indeed been astonished by humanity's emergence. But more than that, it had been changed by it, transformed from a place where might made right into something better. A place where the strong protected the weak, where cooperation was valued over domination, and where the future held promise instead of fear. In years to come, when alien children learned about the Great Battle of Kepler Sector, they would learn not just about human technology or military prowess, but about the day when a new kind of power entered the galaxy. A power that measured strength not by what it could destroy, but by what it chose to protect. The mystery was over. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy at last, and the galaxy would never be the same.